Getting insanely rich doesn't happen by luck or chance. It's the result of following clear, proven money principles for years without losing focus. These aren't shortcuts or secret tricks. They're decisions and habits that compound until they completely change your financial position. The earlier you start applying them, the stronger the results will be. But even if you start later, the discipline you apply today can create life-changing outcomes in the future. Here are money rules you need to get insanely rich. The first principle to understand is that your wealth is built in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. If you let your expenses rise every time your income goes up, you'll always feel stuck, no matter how much you make. Most people allow lifestyle creep to quietly swallow their financial potential. The key is to lock in a lifestyle that sits comfortably below your earnings and protect that gap. That gap is where your wealth will grow. It doesn't mean living like you're broke. It means making sure your largest expenses like housing, transportation, and recurring payments never consume so much that you have nothing left to invest. Once you've created that gap, the next step is to put your money to work. Cash that just sits idle loses value to inflation and misses the chance to grow. Even small amounts invested consistently can become significant over time. Whether it's broad market index funds, a well-located rental property, or a business you understand, the goal is to put your money into assets that grow and produce income. The earlier you begin this process, the more years you give compounding to work in your favor. Protecting your capital is just as important as growing it. A single bad decision with a large sum can erase years of progress. When you're starting out, small mistakes cost less. But as your wealth grows, the stakes get higher. Diversifying your investments, avoiding risky ventures you don't fully understand, and keeping a portion of your portfolio in stable, lower-risk assets can prevent painful losses. Wealth is built by consistent growth and preserved by cautious risk management. Your income is still the main driver of your financial growth. While keeping expenses in check is critical, there's a limit to how much you can cut. Increasing the amount of money flowing in allows you to invest more and reach financial milestones faster. This doesn't always mean working more hours. It can mean learning higher-value skills, finding better-paying opportunities, or creating income streams that don't require your constant presence. The more you can invest from your earnings, the faster compounding accelerates your progress. Debt can either help or hurt your journey to wealth. High-interest consumer debt is a constant drain on your finances. Carrying balances on credit cards or taking personal loans for non-essential spending traps you in a cycle where you're paying for the past instead of building for the future. On the other hand, certain types of debt, used wisely, can be a tool to grow wealth. Borrowing for an asset that produces income or appreciates faster than the cost of the loan can speed up your progress. The difference lies in whether the debt helps build assets or simply funds consumption. Another powerful habit is reinvesting your returns. When your investments generate income through dividends, interest, or rental cash flow, send that money straight back into investments instead of spending it. Reinvestment is what allows compounding to become truly powerful. Over time, the returns themselves start generating their own returns, creating a snowball effect. Skipping this step, even for a few years, can slow your progress significantly. Thinking long-term is non-negotiable. Wealth that's built slowly tends to last, while wealth gained quickly is often lost just as fast. Markets rise and fall, investments fluctuate, and there will be years where your portfolio's value drops. These moments test your patience and discipline, but by sticking to your plan and continuing to invest, you position yourself to benefit when the market recovers. People who try to time every move or chase quick wins often end up with less than those who simply stayed the course. Learning about money is a lifelong process. The strategies that work today might need adjustments in the future as markets change, tax laws evolve, and new opportunities emerge. The more you understand how money works, the better your decisions will be. This means reading about investing, following reputable sources, and learning from people who have actually built wealth. Knowledge helps you recognize real opportunities and avoid costly mistakes. Avoiding unnecessary financial commitments is equally important. The wrong long-term obligation can limit your freedom to invest and adapt. For example, locking yourself into a high mortgage payment or an expensive car loan can reduce the flexibility you need to seize new opportunities. Fixed costs create pressure, and when your goal is to build wealth, you want the majority of your cash flow directed toward investments, not tied up in payments for things that lose value. Your network can also influence your financial growth more than you realize. Surrounding yourself with people who value stability, investing, and personal growth can keep you motivated and informed. The company you keep can either support your goals or quietly pull you away from them. Patience and consistency are the quiet forces behind wealth. There will be times when progress feels slow, especially in the beginning. But wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. It accelerates. In the early years, most of your growth comes from the money you contribute. Over time, the growth from your investments begins to outpace your contributions. This is the turning point where your wealth starts growing faster without any extra effort from you. Small boosts along the way can help you reach this acceleration point sooner. Directing tax refunds, bonuses, or windfalls into your investments rather than spending them can make a noticeable difference over time. While these amounts may feel small in the moment, the real impact comes from decades of compounding. What you choose to do with extra money says a lot about how quickly you'll build lasting wealth. Having a plan for your destination is just as important as the journey. Reaching a certain net worth, whether it's 1 million or more, isn't the end. You'll need to decide whether you want to keep growing your wealth, shift into living off the returns, or use it to fund specific goals. Having clarity about your future keeps you from making short-term moves that could slow your progress or put your wealth at risk. Protecting yourself from life's unexpected events is a form of wealth preservation that's often overlooked. An emergency fund allows you to handle surprise expenses without touching your investments. Adequate insurance, health, income protection, and property coverage can prevent a single event from undoing years of careful building. It's not just about growing wealth, it's about making sure it stays intact. Review your progress at a steady pace. Quarterly or annual check-ins are enough to ensure you're still on track, without obsessing over daily market moves. These reviews are a time to adjust contributions, rebalance your portfolio, and confirm that your strategy still matches your goals. By making thoughtful adjustments rather than constant changes, you keep your plan moving forward while avoiding emotional decisions. The path to becoming insanely rich isn't about finding the perfect investment or making a lucky guess. It's about creating the right habits, applying them consistently, and protecting your progress along the way. The same discipline that grows your wealth is the same discipline that keeps it. Over time, the quiet, steady growth becomes impossible to ignore. If you commit to these principles, you'll see the shift happen. At first, it will feel like slow progress, but as your investments grow, the momentum will pick up. One day, you'll realize that your money is working harder than you are, and that's when you'll know you've reached the point where building wealth feels almost automatic. The journey is long, but every step you take now brings you closer to the life you want. If you commit to these principles, you'll see the shift happen. At first, it will feel like slow progress, but as your investments grow, the momentum will pick up. One day, you'll realize that your money is working harder than you are, and that's when you'll know you've reached the point where building wealth feels almost automatic. The journey is long, but every step you take now brings you closer to the life you want. And when that moment comes, it won't be because of one big win, but because of the small, consistent choices you made along the way. You'll see how saying no to unnecessary expenses, choosing to invest instead of spend, and sticking to your plan even when it wasn't exciting all work together to create lasting wealth. That's when you'll understand that the real power wasn't in the money itself, but in the discipline you built to create it.